Well, thank you, Linda, for that kind introduction. And boy, it is an honor to be here with you today. And I hope you find value in this session. It's all about preparing your business for a lucrative exit. You may have a dream, you may have thought about this, and you're in it. You've got your business, and now what can you do? Well, before we dive in too much further, I want you to think about something you achieved that you thought was impossible. What is something you achieved that you thought was impossible? And it's a very important question because sometimes when it comes to the exit planning process, there are dreams of what I think I could or what I would like to sell my business for, or even things that you have thought about that, um, that may or may not have happened up till now. And when we look at what have we done that we thought was impossible, may that inspire you that anything is possible. And this is my picture. One of my impossibles was I'm a type 1 diabetic. I didn't think, never was it in the realm of possibility that I would ever be able to run a marathon. First of all, I wasn't a runner as a kid, and I didn't like running, but I found a new joy when I got inspired by somebody else that also had a disability that I heard their story and thought, man, if they can do it, well, I can do it. And what do I need to do? So I started running a mile, 3 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles consistently every single weekend, all the way up to my prep for the marathon was 20 miles. I walked 20 miles and I thought if I can do 20 miles, I can do 24 or 26, right? So when you are thinking about what you're looking at, what does it take? That took many days, all the steps, but it was possible. And when I crossed that finish line, not in first place, but crossing the finish line was the accomplishment I was looking for myself. And this was my picture of crossing the line and just celebrating that moment and thinking, impossible is possible. Impossible can be quicker than we thought if we apply ourselves. So, my question back to you as you think about your business is what is possible in 1 year? 1 year, what is possible? When you're thinking about preparing for a lucrative exit, what is possible? Well, if you were just to watch all of our sessions once a month, look at where we started and where we are today. 1 month. Now you have the access to the recordings for this, so I hope you're going to go watch them if you did not join us for all these sessions. And each one in and of itself brings information, tools, and action steps you can take. And even if you watched a few, what can you do in this next year? And then don't forget to celebrate, right? Sometimes we forget when we do these things that we should celebrate. That was a big year. And if you were on that journey and just committed to even just joining the sessions or watching them on your own, wow, now what's possible, right? It's all in the realm of possibility. And I was thinking about really a lucrative exit. What are the three keys? What keys? I mean, it's three key areas, but what are the keys? What are these three things that will transform an exit if I do them and I can do it now that will help my business not only today, but through an exit? Well, the three that came up, and hopefully you're thinking this in your head, is profit, taxes, and independence, right? So let's dive into the first one, profit. The key to a lucrative exit is in your profitability. Now, what's interesting about this is if you look at this, and I'm not sure why this last one is cutting off, but we're going to roll with it. But profitability is the biggest driver of business value. Most of the, you know, valuations have the financials. It's looking what you're projecting, what you're making, what is that profitability, what is it in the EBITDA, like where am I in profitability margin of EBITDA and where am I at net income? When I look and take all the taxes away and everything away, what am I left with? And what's that margin? Is it consistent? Am I able to keep my business consistently profitable? Companies, a lot of them will make good money, really good money, but walk away with not a lot. And sometimes that could be a tax issue. You want to spend as much as you can so you don't have to pay the IRS. There are other tools you can use that could really benefit you without having to spend down every year. But what are you doing with that? What does that look like? Do you have a strategy? And in that strategy, the exit component can be very powerful when you look at profit from an exit standpoint, because most investors and buyers are looking at, well, how long will it take if I invest in this company or I purchase this company to have a return on my estimate on my investment? Excuse me about that. Return on your investment, ROI. How long will it take me to be able to have that money and then be profitable? And if you have a profitable business and you have a buyer looking at you and they don't have to wait that long, boy, that takes the risk down, that takes the confidence up, and you have an opportunity even for some of the other tools that I'm going to share in just a moment. So, what does that mean? Well, higher earnings means a higher valuation. Simple as that. If I make more money and I increase my profitability, guess what? My valuation, just by basic standards, is going to go up. And in this example, if you had 1 million of EBITDA, and that is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, that is your operating profit. Like, what is your business really? How's it performing? So in this example, 1 million at a 5 multiple is 5 million. If I increase my profitability by 200,000, boy, look at that. It goes up to 6 million because you're taking 1.2 times 5. Pretty powerful, right? Simplistic, yet powerful. It also attracts a broader pool of buyers, meaning if you're more profitable, you may have individual buyers that are like, that's a pretty solid business. I'd like to take that over. You might even have competitors that are looking at you or strategic buyers. You may even have an investment group that's looking to do it or private equity firms. So as your profitability increases and you're consistent with that, you start getting eyes looking at you, especially if you're looking to sell. And of course, anytime you have a good amount of revenue, but your profitability is high, you will have the ability to negotiate the terms. And if you have multiple offers, think about the power that will be behind that. So profitability, if you're going to focus on any of the three, this is one of the keys that I would suggest you focus on. Now, what is ideal? Well, you've got to look at your industry and see what are your competitors doing, what's below average, average, or above average. And that may be in this range, but if we were just to take a simple example, 10 to 20% EBITDA margin after taxes and after um, the interest and depreciation, you may have a lower profit margin at your net level. However, if you are doing tax planning or doing any other type of strategies, it won't be such a big difference. But sometimes if you're only looking at this before taxes, then your profit margin may look really nice. And then, oh my goodness, it is not anywhere near this, and it could be even negative. So keep that in mind. What strategies are you using? And how can I really get myself up to an attractive level? How do I increase that? What is standard for the industry that you're in? And what's the steps to get there? Now, I'm going to give you a couple action steps. First is through Leadership Global, you have an awesome opportunity to do a PIQ analysis. This is in the system. I've given you the code. You can go do this. It is a very beneficial action to take. It is a choice. Of course, you can run profit margin numbers and do that on your own, but to really understand what's happening, why it's happening, and what you can do, that's what this analysis shows. And if you have done the analysis and you're like, well, I need some more support on being able to really transform my business at that level, then reach out. This is one of the services we provide. We believe in the tools and the actions that need to be taken to make these tools really powerful. So if you are in that process and you're looking for somebody to help you through, reach out. But take that analysis. Wow, and you're getting such a deal through Leadership Global with that analysis tool. Such a deal. All right. The second out of the three keys is taxes. And this one is more like take that key back because taxes can be a really expensive part of your business, especially on the exit if you haven't done the planning around it. Taxes will significantly reduce your earnings over time and your exit. So, what are some things you can do? Well, upon an exit, there are different ways you can do capital gains optimization. Let's say you purchase something and that's an asset in your business. If it is less than a year, then you may pay a higher capital gain than if you waited a year. Long-term capital gains. So, planning for capital gains and how to optimize it, there are tools. It is also tax advantage structures. Where and how am I selling my business? Maybe it's through a DST, an installment sales. Maybe it's going to be taking a portion of that money and putting it into a charitable structure. Maybe it's doing an opportunity zone. Now it's really deciding like, well, what fits my values and my situation and how much am I looking at? And then what tools do I want to use? How long do I want to wait? What is the best options? And even your entity structure and how you're taxed. An S corp is taxed differently than a C corp and an LLC. So looking at how is your entity formed and what can you do now? Is it more beneficial to wait or is it more beneficial if you know the type of buyer you want and how to structure that? Well, then maybe it's better to go ahead and move that entity structures type and start working in that framework until you exit. So the next one is how do I increase the buyer confidence when it comes to taxes? Now, taxes can be um, not only expensive, but it can also be very time consuming if you do not keep up with the filing, with the making sure taxes are paid, doing those steps, taking notes and documenting the strategies that you're doing. It seems like a lot of work, but it's more work sometimes to go back and do it versus doing it while you're doing it. So if you anybody that does operations, you probably know that it's easier to do it while you're doing it versus trying to go back and catch up. So accurate reporting, investors, buyers, strategic buyers, it doesn't matter what level, they're going to look at your tax returns. They're going to look at the taxes on the business. They're going to look at, did you file on time? Do you have any owed those liabilities? Do I have anything that's owed, back taxes, audits? How many audits? Why did you get audited? Did you do any tax strategies? And if you did you document them? And if you didn't document them, then how are you sharing this with your accountant? What does that look like? So all these things could become a real bugger if you don't do it while you're doing it. So keep this in mind. These are simple things that can lead to a big impact both ways. So take the time while you're doing it. And if you're looking for tax strategies, reach out. That is our second, we do a few different services. Tax planning is one of them. We do not file taxes, nor do we do any type of bookkeeping. However, we work with your accountant and we do exactly what that last slide said. Help you document all the strategies that you're doing so you can have that in your business vault available if you were to exit or if any other reason, compliance, audit, whatever, you have taken the time to actually document everything appropriately. Okay, how do you create a transition with flexibility? Well, tax efficient strategies provide you options, right? It's not set for everybody, but sometimes I alluded to it, structuring deals. Maybe even that means you stay on with the company for 2 to 3 to 5 years after, and maybe the purchase of the company is spread out over those years. So you don't take the full brunt of the sell in 1 year. You can spread it out and do some tax planning. Employee retention, how do you keep your team on board through a transition? What are some potentially even tax tools you can use for keeping those employees in retention? And succession planning? How can you utilize your tax dollars to build your future? And then what are the strategies and the planning that can come through either trust, charitable, different tools that are in the tool belt that you could use if you took the time to explore your options ahead of time, and then you can choose. And sometimes you have a chance to even change if you change your decision on how you plan to exit and you have enough time. Most of the time, you get to the end and you're like, well, this is what I have. Now, what can I do with it? Instead of, these are all the options. What do you need? And what do I need to do to make this work? All right. So, how do you take action on this step? Well, keep tax filing and strategies up to date. Don't let those go behind. Document all your tax strategies. Anything that you are taking a credit deduction, make sure you have everything from your accountant, from the specialist, whatever it is, online tools. If you need to have somebody hold your hand through, and let's say your accountant gave you a tax plan but didn't tell you how to implement it, reach out. We do guided implementation as well. Explore your entity taxation on the exit. And even as simple as, did you pay yourself enough W-2? Reasonable comp by the IRS terms, not by what I just think I should pay myself. There's actual software that we use to run reasonable comp that has audit support. So God forbid, if you come into an audit or whatever reason that you might need to have proof, when you work with us on the compensation side and what you should be paying yourself, you have a document. It is detailed, it is documented all the way through, and it can compare what you can save if you stay as like an LLC or you move to an S corp, which has another bonus layer, right? Pretty cool action steps. So here's some tips. When it comes to taxation and an exit, seller preference. Most of the time, corporations facilitate stock sales, and LLCs and sole proprietors will do asset sales. Both have their pros and cons, so it's really important to understand what type of sale and what you could do to make that beneficial for yourself. The next thing is tax treatment. Corporations face double taxation unless it's structured as an S corp. And LLCs and partnerships, they are passed through. So most of the time you'll see that buyers, if they're institutional, they're going to prefer it to be a corporation. And if they're individual or maybe even a strategic, they may prefer LLCs and partnerships. So just depends on who's buying it, what's their goal, and what's available through your business. All right. The last key, how to access the key to independence, creating that pathway that you can walk and enjoy every aspect of your business because you are not holding every hat anymore. You are doing what you love. And guess what? That gives you the freedom to choose to stay. And if you're profitable and have worked and put your tax dollars to work for you, now you have the independence. Boy, that's freedom. That's entrepreneurial freedom, all wrapped up in 3 keys. So let's look at it. The framework, simple framework. It's got a little bit of effort on the back end. There are some tools, though, you can use for documentation and automation that today were not here 10, 20, 30 years ago, right? We're in such a cool technological time that you have so many ways to delegate without spending too much money, documenting tools that use AI now that can just write these things for you. You put in a video, it pops out what your SOP is, and then you've got the video to save. Well, it's just incredible what is available to us. Take advantage of it. We are no longer in the Stone Age. Bring your company up to the technological stage of whatever industry you're in and set the automation. Why? Because it builds your independence. And by building your independence, you gain freedom to choose what you want. How powerful is that? Even if you don't exit anytime soon, think about the freedom and the beauty in that. However, you're going to have challenges in that process, right? It's time. It might be money. It could be effort. So sometimes these things creep up. It can just happen. Procrastination. You might know you need to do these things, but you'll procrastinate. You could do that. Maybe it's a lack of clarity. Like, I don't know what to do, which leads to procrastination. And then you've got your reasons. and your excuses, and the list goes on. So what do I want you to do is to get that last key. Sometimes we just overwhelm our mind with so many things that it's overwhelming and then we don't take action. So this is one thing that I think is very powerful for business owners to use is write your ideas down. Like, I don't know if you use Google Tasks or like a notepad or some kind of thing on your computer or your old school and your pen and paper. But once you write your ideas in a place that you can access them for your business, all the ideas you have, I don't care if it's, what it is, write it down so you can let it go out of your mind, let your mind work on something else. Because what you're saying is, I don't want to forget, I don't want to forget. And that's just staying there. But what if you wrote it down and you don't have to remember? And now you can move forward and then go back to your idea list and look at what you had been thinking over the last month, over the last quarter, the last year. You might even surprise yourself. It might be a really fun exercise. And then I want you to find another, like, take that notepad and have another page, write all your reasons for things you're not doing, whatever it is. It could be for owner independence, your profitability, whatever reasons that you are telling yourself, get it out of your mind and onto that document or that piece of paper, and all the excuses that you're making for any of the things that you're not doing in your business that is not benefiting. It's what is it doing for me or to me, right? What is it doing for me or to me? Write your excuses. And then to even take it to like the premier step, if you were to do all these, is then write one step you can take for every reason or excuse or idea you even have, because then it gives you something you can do. So if you have a reason, what step can you take to get you moving forward? And remember, these are a lot of baby steps. You think about that marathon, and if you think in business, you're running a marathon, right? You start and you might run this business for like 20 years. That's a long marathon, but you're going to run sprints in the day, in the week, in the month. It might even be a year sprint, but you're going to be taking many, many, many steps and many choices every single day. And you've got the power behind you. So because this is a lucrative exit session, right? Are we ready? So we've got a readiness awareness. What are you doing to see if you're really ready to exit? And there are a few things you can do. First, if you haven't already, we share this in multiple sessions, complete the readiness assessment. It is 20 questions, super quick. It gives you a 12-page report, shares where you are in the process, and if you're really ready to exit. If you're not, then what do I need to do, right? And did you complete the review? So if you have taken the assessment but haven't scheduled a review with me, what an awesome opportunity. This is all complimentary. You're a part of Leadership Global. We want to give back, want to help you empower your business. So do that assessment and then get the review. Let's talk about it. What can you do? And then you're going to just choose, what's my best next step? Wow, right? That's so awesome. You get all this, and this is all for your exit. And did you outline a pathway and start? So we might take the first step, but we may not have actually created a few steps ahead to see where we are. So creating an outline, and if you want to work more on a deeper level for your exit planning, our exit planning process is 5 meetings long. And from those 5 meetings, you will have not only a plan, but you'll have everything in order. And if you're like, I'm not ready for full exit planning, building your business vault is the next best step. You can do it on your own, or you can work with us to do it. Either way, it is a powerful tool to get all of your things together so you're ready anytime. Okay, so what can you do today? Well, you got 3 areas. These are the 3 keys: profit, taxes, independence. Those are the keys that you will have, and you want to access them to unlock your lucrative exit. And you're going to be building your business vault with these tools along the way. You can do the PIQ analysis. You can do an assessment of your tax situation, make sure everything's up to date. Make sure you document your tax strategies. Delegate. If you're not delegating, who can you delegate to? What can you delegate? what documentation needs to be created, what automation can I put in this year, what assessments can I do? Can I do the exit readiness assessment? If you haven't done it already, let's do it. And then start building your business vault. So many cool things, so many steps you can take. So whatever reasons or excuses you may have, here are solutions that you could put in for it. All right. So let's wrap up. What did you find valuable today? And hopefully a few things pop up, but hopefully you'll walk away with at least one valuable thing you can apply to your business. I gave you 3 keys, 3 things you could do. And if you chose out of the 1 key, which key would you choose? Would you focus on the profit? Would you focus on really that tax situation? Or would you focus on that independence? Okay, all your choices. So your best next step, if you want, you can go ahead and schedule a discovery meeting with myself. You can take that assessment and then schedule your review. We can start talking about building your business vault. You can do it on your own, do it with us. And if you need a specialist, an introduction of any sort, we are always here. Leadership Global has a plethora of specialists that you could reach out to as well. And if you are reaching out, we will definitely get you connected back, whatever that need might be. So hopefully those 3 keys will give you the tools and the ability to unlock your future lucrative exit. And until I see you, keep raising the bar.